Hello and welcome. I trust that this is a recording well, and it is, when I started, it was 21:51. That is 51 minutes past 9 p.m. or 9 minutes to 10 p.m. And today is Thursday still, even though it feels very Friday-ish already. And it's the 13th of February, 2025. Let's just center in taking a big breath into the core, so I've been nudged to share with you, and I'm just hearing the word watershed. Whatever energies have been mulling about, I would say, since the winter solstice, but also going back to all that time when Pluto was in the last degrees of Capricorn. And so I'm just going to say, yeah, well, really, it's September, October in my case, because of what was moving through and having had a solar return, and as many of us facing yeah, well, I would say an identity transformation. Crises feel so much like disempowerment. And yes, there is crises out there for those that are in the direct conflict zones, with all possibilities around them, and above all, the feeling of crushing the beauty of life and the beauty of life energy, in terms of trying to, yeah, play God in other people's lives, in doing this power over thing, in putting them into a crisis situation because of from whatever rage or whatever. Yeah, it is not really haptical, so I can't touch it. I can't really understand how anyone is so blinded that they would involve themselves in a situation that directly harms others. And with this, I mean this planet Earth, all the weather elementals. Yeah, I mean, impacting all the elementals in the water, in the soil, in the air, particular, and also the love aspect and going against the birthright of everyone that has come here for peace, and also acting against people from all walks of life, but particularly also all the animals, the land itself, all the creative energy that went into, yeah, creating a farm for production or whatever, and just and even destroying support agencies such as, you know, let's say hospitals and so on, where people are being cared for. So really hitting at vulnerable people, and it doesn't matter what age you are, it is impacting you. The thing about being young is, yes, there's the hope for a better life. But for all those that have lived through many ups and downs on this planet, it is kind of a boot in your face thing, but because having done a lot of internal work as well on this life path, then having to face these old type of conflicts and or even new type of conflicts, they are so disrespectful towards the pro-life energy cycle that creates life. We don't really need it. That is so old paradigm. We don't need to crush something to create a diamond. We don't need to having to experience so deep trauma at this point on our evolution to understand it. We all have it already in our DNA, in our understanding, in our empathy. So we are a mature species, and even those that act out their fear or their anger probably at this point understand that it is just adding to it all, but one cannot get rid of it in reaction. The way is to transmute whatever inherited pain and memory, and well, that is the big question. Yeah, I mean, why have we come here? This is not a computer game. I know many people describe life on Earth as a film, as this Maya illusion. There is a bigger sense. Why otherwise have so many peace-loving, light-carrying, space-holding beings have come here? Because we are letting go of this encrusted, yeah, type of dinosaur skeleton of patriarchy that is power over and takes away the right of each individual to choose their way of life in harmony with their nature, in the place they are born, with the community they are born into, and with the respect towards the fact that all beings are birthed from mother. Yeah. So Christ consciousness is not a he or a she, even though that is, it has to do with crystalline. But we are all that already because we carry this inside us. And this overlay of the last 2000 or 5000 years, or whichever cycle you would like to apply, that is not our true nature. We are multidimensional beings. We are already strong. We have seen it all. So what has stopped us? It is usually this shell of, well, the lucky lottery pot, and what kind of family have you been born into, and what support did that family or the the mother and father have had, and was there room to be an individual? And as we are coming from this misogynistic, so yeah, where for thousands of years one half of the population didn't have a voice, and in many places it still is this way, or they only had a voice via a role play of having to be the producer of the next generation rather than choosing a life. There weren't that many choices. And whatever was allowed by the other half of the population was seen as not allowed for the other. So it isn't it is not an equilibrium that many of us have been born into, and so a lot of us have been living in a very protective or fighting status of our, yeah, I should say Mars masculine side. There's no such thing as a spiritual warrior. The word warrior with war. Yeah, it is important to be assertive, but not to be aggressive. But the thing is, why do you need to be assertive or aggressive? Why is it not okay to simply have a voice in gentle, intelligent, and very self-centered in the sense of meaning centered in self, not in egoistical ways? And the fact is, if you're a multi-D being, the negative ego doesn't exist. That is an artificial overlay created here, which is kind of like a mantle, and that many of us have been supporting to lift through breathing in whatever came up, and breathing out and transmuting it into something more neutral. So taking my being as an example, surely only because I lived through this being. And a couple of weeks ago, culminating with the new moon and the change from January to February and many other things. It's the midpoint between the winter solstice and the equinox, the spring equinox here. And the week before then, having had this encounter with this agency, and this week I've kind of done a full circle because I ended up going to another agency that I originally thought I should have gone to, which then said to me, no, it's not the one, blah, blah, blah. So it's these 3 months, and figuring out why this type of construct is reappearing in my personal life and in many of our lives. So some people mention this idea of life review. Some people mention that they feel as if they're giving birth. They have pregnancy feelings, male and female, but just something energetically giving birth to something. And many people are feeling that there is a big shift ahead, but there is total disorientation right now. And to go into the trust, which is the Pisces stellium that we are facing in the next uh, new moon. And I'm still feeling the energy of the full moon, even though it has come to a calmer place. But this activation I'm feeling in my voice and my body today has very much to do with where my natal moon is placed, and also to do with the south north node or north south node axis being in Pisces and Virgo, and coming back from this practical solution finding, mm, mm, creating a plan, trying to control the outcome to what we require in life, rather than to just surrender, not in a disempowered way, in an empowered way, in the trust that we have all solutions in us. It is just a fact of timing that there is a new, yeah, it is almost like you're traveling on your surfboat or you're in your canoe like hundreds of years ago, and you know the river you've been traveling on, but you're coming into an area that is totally new, or maybe the waterway has changed, and so you don't know the currents. Nevertheless, though, you got your paddle and you got your canoe, and you are in between the water and the air, and you have the horizon, and also you got all that experience inside you, and at the same time there is the wonder of, yeah, what's new, what's behind the next bend, what's in the next horizon once you've traveled along this. And the point is, somehow we are all going in the direction of the flow. And so, yet we can't see beyond the bend right now. So it's a matter of trust, that the canoe will hold, that we will be fine, even if we fall asleep in the canoe, but that the flow, the current in these new waters and this new nature even that has changed around us is bringing us to our destination. And so We are steering it, but we are not able to, yeah, in a way we become the river, but we can't fight the river, um, even though we're part of it. But we can trust the river and us, mm, because of all the rivers and all the lakes and all the oceans and all the storms we've already mastered in this life and in many other situations, and also our ancestors before, and because we are, yeah, if you want the proof that our ancestors were strong, because they were strong enough that we could be born and they cared for us sufficiently so we can make it in our lives, even if we went through many, yeah, more downs than ups probably. But right now the wave feels positive, and it's probably the first day. And yes, I'm aware Jupiter has gone direct a few days ago and so on. There is still a lot to come, but that's nothing new. Yet also we are anchored. I can sense this strong inner decision for peace. And yeah, so I don't know where all this is coming from, but Mars and Cancer is in my ninth house, so philosophical, and I feel good with that because it's not so it was in the 10th house all the time, and really so many of us facing a lot of challenges and a huge imbalance of, yeah, uh, the responsible chores or duties, yeah, that we need to do compared to having relaxation time and coming from a feeling of good feeling of being centered in oneself rather than all that self-worth stuff, self-doubt stuff, and also this uncertainty to feel, hmm, are we going to lose everything we care for? And sure, one can always survive, but do we really want to live a life based on hand in mouth, short term firefighting, survivalism? Have we come here for this? There have been so many cultures that were able to create such a intricate creativity in all aspects of culture. And it would be good to be able to enjoy reading, whatever, painting, singing, dancing, going for walks, caring for family members and spending time with four-leggeds and just enjoying the food, the nature, the the companionship of another being, or even simply the companionship with yourself, with the seasons, but having a more balanced, beautiful life experience. So yeah, there is something of this um that I sense today. But the reason I felt to share is because there were actually four things, and I can only remember three right now that came as I had, what could I say? Yeah, a transmutation experience of energy, and whatever was the impulse from the outside is the fact that it affected me physically in my stomach. And for 2 days, I mean, it was taking a week, but for 2 days, I really felt so sensitive to any energy, turned off everything. I couldn't even use homeopathy for those 2 days. I was just grateful when I could rest and not having this feeling of nausea and the purging that was happening, and this whole pressure felt in that region around the stomach area for 2 weeks really felt like a form of an energetic death, and how important it is to have one's help and one's strength, particularly when one lives alone and has responsibility towards other living beings, and just to cherish, to be able to eat normally 2 weeks after or so, because it suddenly went. Um, and these 2 days that I spent trying to be in a meditative state, yeah, trying, because when you are physically sick, it is not easy. And yeah, I didn't get much information, but one sentence was that it had to do with the fear of growing old, and with that growing sick, meaning the idea in this paradigm, in the old paradigm, in the old duality, in the old patriarchism, in the old low vibrational way of living of the last 5,000 years or so, the fact that death is the only way to get from one life into the other, or at least to leave this one, and that always illness precedes that, and that has to do with this ageism. Of course, there are people affected in all uh, mm, in all the life cycles, from young to becoming an elder. But it was a paradigm around this, can't get the exact words now, but it has to do with the letting go of the fear of aging, because that is just another construct as disease as such is, because disease is not a disease, it is a chance for healing, as it means your frequency is so strong that it can shed stuff that was given to you via DNA. And with that, I also mean memory that sits in the land, or if you're going into a building or you are facing another person that has these things, and because you've done lots of work on yourself and you are just this bright spark, it sticks to you, and then it is this transmutation process that one does in clearing it out. So that was the one thing. Okay, and then I realized, because I couldn't see any difference in my bodily physical presentation, despite the fact I could not eat. And whilst it is an easy paradigm to go into, because many of us, why does life on Earth is so heavily centered around food intake, and we are so disconnected from the seasons and growing it ourselves, or it being grown locally, and we are living with life so that we prepare for the winter seasons. So there is always enough there, because over eons of times people faced this, and there was no lack because we knew how to preserve. And apart from that, yeah, the water was clean enough to drink. Yeah, and and just as the animals find food outside, there are always places to find this. But okay, food is about nourishment, and this is obviously what is missing. But what transpired when I was trying to connect with these various body parts is that the reason we have a certain buffers around our body shape, despite the fact that we have lots of movement. And I appreciate that I can work quite heavily here in the garden, doing quite hard, in a positive sense, work around clearing fallen trees and stuff like that, or broken branches. I mean, things like that. Not just planting pretty flowers, but just really, yeah, because no one could care, or it was standing by itself for a long time. And so bringing in, yeah, a tender way of clearing away what really does not belong, because this is a home, and it is a cared for home. And in clearing away certain things, it makes room for life. So building this natural hedge out of fallen branches and so on actually creates an environment for many other small animals, and seeing birds using it for shelter and so on confirmed that. And yeah, many words. Point is though that I realized in my family line that it is the sensitivity and intelligence that is not always being acknowledged by the surroundings, that these are beautiful, intelligent, caring human beings, and that they applied themselves in their life to better their life. But that the buffer at certain body parts that is not really explainable due to the fact that they did work and had, or they did move, should I say, and also spend spare time, walking in nature and so on. I realized that a lot of this buffer is protection. In fact, it is interesting to check whether your body has a buildup of a water retention or an accumulation of body mass in certain areas because you felt from a very young age to protect yourself from the judgmental wordings of other human beings, even before you were conscious of a certain image that a boy or girl or any human being had to display to be accepted in society. I mean, going into the times when it didn't matter uh, what clothes you wore because the focus was on something more beautiful, and the connection was with you and the surrounding and the love rather than with having to dress up. So it was more about the experience of joy and not caring if you got cold, wet, or dirty because you played in the snow or you played in the mud or whatever. I mean, that sort of feeling. And then at some stage, people judge or tell you, and it doesn't have to come from family. It may come from the areas of life where you have to interact with others, that, hair has to be this way and fingernails that way, and clothes that way, and, all these unimportant in a way because internal happiness is more important than how you're being presented to the outside. Yet, of course, it is a natural state to take care of your well-being. And if you enjoy, of course, you know, looking nice, feeling nice, that is totally okay, but it has to come from the inside out and not from the outside in, even though at times when we feel crappy, I totally understand that, you know, um, cleaning up and dressing nicely helps the inner state of being. Yeah, but it doesn't address the core. And this information that I'm sharing with you was about the core wounding that happened to whoever because of even the categories of society, the have or have not thing, which is such rubbish because we all have and live in abundance. But this artificial poverty, class things, and well, if you have more, then you're more important, blah, blah, blah. It's all old paradigm. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe unconsciously your being has put on these buffers to protect your sensitive, intelligent, empathic self. And so it's got nothing to do with the quality of nurturing you put into you. It is a reaction to feeling hurt simply through being alive, but being in an environment where others are less sensitive or less caring and more direct, let's call it with this. And rather than being supportive of your individual nature, they are critical. And this may be because they're critical with themselves. Whatever in that moment that you are depending on someone because you are too young, or maybe also it has nothing to do with age. It's the fact that if you are defining yourself through the reactions of one from others because you wish to be seen and wish to be heard and wish to be loved and have not been given the tools either through your personal makeup or through the surrounding to actually feel that from day one, because whoever is born here is loved because life is love. It is just that, well, the societal norm, at least in the 4 generations I've been able to witness, so grandparents, parents, my own generation, and the offspring of family members. Sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought. So really, every being is welcomed here, and living life is about you shaping your surroundings through your special talents and intelligence, and not the other way around, that you are supposed to fit in. But the nature of most of what I observe has been, yeah, everything was telling my ancestors how they are meant to be, to be fit for society and fit in, or to be a good being, when actually we are born good until things happen. But we are born into love, because that is the nature of life, really. So, okay. So there was this fear of aging, and there was this buffer that the body creates to protect, and the fact that you even have to protect yourself in life is already not nice, because why should one feel threatened if this is life and we have the life energy in us. And so, whatever experiences have happened in life that shape that or have happened to others, and in a way that is both being triggered by the events of the last 5 years, but also the recent events of these very focused conflict situation that are simply in the air. Yeah, I mean, how can one be so cruel to planet Earth to deal with this type of technology that is set up to destroy and, yeah, anti-life on all levels. So just needing to breathe here for a moment, and I'm sorry I'm getting a bit emotional. It's just that I'm so sorry for every living being having to go through this. And I'm so sorry the paradigm is still acting out here in the elementals, and it's in the air and in the clouds, and it is in the ether, and it's in the oceans and in the wind, and it gets everywhere. Yeah, and it's time to let it go. So peace, please. Now. So even just that alone, this energy can be a reason your body feels it needs to buffer. Okay, then the third sharing is that, I really focused on connecting with my body in a multidimensional way to understand what was going on, where was it coming from, and what was it purging. I did not get an answer to my personal situation. It is okay. Fact is, walked through that, and then it's not totally new because it has been shared with me before, but when I focused on the inside, yeah, I would say these are between the solar plexus and the voice box. So these are the heart. You could say it's really the heart chakra region, but I just wanted to share that we are a stargate, that we are that galactic center, and it is in us. So when I was able to look inside me, I could see the universe, and I could see the creation of the new stars and new planets, and I could see, yeah, let's call it a galactic. I don't want to use the word history, a galactic viewpoint. And so I trust all of us have this. And so we just can focus on that wisdom within us that has all the galactic history, meaning the Earth timeline, whichever way you want to call it, inside you. And so the truth resonance is inside. And so many have commented that because of all that chaotic, energetic confusion in the outside world, more and more people focus totally on within, on their home, and that is their body, the room or the place they find themselves in, and and the cave, the temple in contemplation. So we are with our inner temple. That is what contemplation really means. And that's beautiful in many ways. But it's just sad it comes because of this one way only power over energetic that is at the moment being, yeah, played out there. That is not really natural. And I feel many of us just hold that peace and that love and that forgiveness within us and have that yearning desire for all the future generations that we are done with this paradigm. Yeah, in the next few months. Right now, I would say we're done with it. It's just playing out because it's like you know, when the waves break on the shore, it's just this after splash. We are in this after splash. And there is no battle to be won. Peace is already here. It just needs to become visible, and it's quiet, gentle, and just is like nature just is. And yeah, there's all these fireworks going off that is like trying to pull you out, and all the media stuff that is connected to it, and all this divide and conquer and focus on separation and better than blah blah. Yet we only have the now, and just breathing into the core as the center is now. So these were the three things, and the fourth one is eluding me. So really, the sharing today was about speaking of it, sharing with you, letting the land hear this voice. Obviously, it heard me telepathically. I've been here. And okay, the one thing to mention is interacting with this other agency. So it is no news that the old paradigm is not working and the system needs to change. It is just so sad having put so many resources in all sorts of, it's called the word digitalization, and it's not working. And it means that I think it's the fourth meeting now that I've been having without getting an answer to what I ask, or I couldn't even ask the questions because the people weren't present, weren't reachable, weren't there, whatever it is. But it is this person that is going through the situation, and it feels like no one cares. There are nice enough people, but on the whole, everyone that is there is overworked, undereducated, yes, and focused only on that bit that they do. And it's totally artificial. I mean, if this was the way grandparents, parents, or so on would run their family life, there would be no family, there would be no home, there would be uh, nothing. And you couldn't create anything, and you couldn't even, you know, have the next generation thrive or even survive because of that mismanagement of resources and mismanagement of emotions and dysfunction. If that was a body, it wouldn't be a body. If it was an orchestra, it wouldn't be an orchestra. There would be no concert. So this reaction coming out of my contemplation, out of my temple, out of my home, having to interface with these people that are representing that and trying their best, but with the whole, yeah, you would say communication in that fact, not working, but it costing resources, yeah, to me, because something that could have been answered in the first meeting, because I did prepare, even if I wasn't in a good state of being, you know, um, being a female and having to be faced with the monthly cycle from a young age, you get to deal with feeling unwell and still functioning the best you can. And I'm sure males go through similar situations of feeling unwell physically, and I'm sure the energies work through them too. It's just with females there is a very dramatic physical reaction. Yeah, it is not just tears and sweat, it's more, and it affects your entire being. While I say that, I can feel a reaction because the moon and this Piscean stellium together with the Mars in Cancer, and I have a lot of water and earth in my chart, but it is really affecting my body parts, and it is mainly affecting it in this. Yeah, I always have to think of the Venus and Willendorf. This is one of the goddess figures that was found, which is whatever 13,000 years or older. Basically, just a representation of Demeter, I would say, which is the mother goddess. That certain body parts represent abundance and birth, and so the creation of anything, creativity, but the creation of a new life is symbolized by having, this beautiful belly and also the mammar glands, which is the nutrient of the newborn. And so it is in that chest or in the breasts, and the body is reacting. And I just want to say that I totally honor parenting. Yeah, it's not just mother and father, it's parenting. So giving birth to a new creative project, you could put it that way. But it feels very much like this. We are birthing the new earth, a new paradigm, and it's physically being embodied through our bodies. And it is, yeah, what often is described that Buddha belly, when you are having your inner cave transmuting energies, and doesn't really matter whose energies it is. It's just the fact it is an energetic birthing that is happening, and it's affecting the entire body. And there was another forum that were talking about this, and the fluid, the water buffer is a protection, so the energetics can be shielded or can take place. And when I focus on it, it's like this is nutritious plasma water, intelligent water, if you want to, with information. And it's a connection between the emotional body, the water element, the mental body that is not as important, and the air element, but the earth element, and that meaning all physical parts. And I could say the mineral element because it's including the bone part, the structure, the skeletal. Yeah, that is like the inner cave that holds us up, or you could say it's the cave structure that creates the body. So the various light, yes, so we are frozen light, or we are crystallized light, and yeah, we are water beings, empathic beings, and our physicality and each part of it has an intelligence that is not even acknowledged by ourselves, because every single cell, every single function in the body, like this orchestra of what it means to be a muldiD human representation of this giant soul body that we are, having the universe inside us, and and having to walk rather than fly or swim on this planet, and having these other gravity energetics, or the what is the earth electromagnetic field. So electro or energetics, whatever label you give it, it's life energy. Yeah. And so it's just being so confirmed while I am sharing with you. So yes, and okay, I remember this was another meditation, or that I haven't shared yet, because as you know, I couldn't renew the annual for my web page, and it turns out, whilst I can do many things, I can't put up the MP3s, and I then go to other podcast pages just to find out that there is very limited space if you're using the free option, and using any other monthly payment plan, it's just on the whole makes it even costing more. And so yeah, and having issues with the new versions of the open source recording software that I've been using on my computer, because I wanted to be offline, and so I'm back online. And maybe this is meaning online while I'll speak, even though I can feel the field, and maybe this is how it's meant to be, but actually that is another thing that has come through for many of those that have been very giving in the last decades of their life, that, you know, it's enough. I meaning, which way can I formulate this? No, I'm going another way. So if nature is abundant, if life is abundant, because life energy is abundant, because we are all still here. The planet Earth is still here, and the solar system and the stars and whatever. So everything we have in our lives, everything that we experienced in terms of, you know, let's say the birthday parties of the past, it was about fun, it was about quality food, it was about good company, it was about adventure and sharing with others. So this joyful explanation, this joyful expression that is missing from life. And the point is, and us seeing many others around us doing, at least to the eye, materially, they are doing well, or they're having more opportunities. It's not all about material means, but it seems certain age categories are doing well, either those that have been able to have a good career and have built a good home and pension and so on, or the young ones that are very sought after because apparently, yeah, there aren't enough educated people around, even though for me everything seems to be, yeah, I can only use the word propaganda. Um, there are enough people who would love to contribute to community and life and society, but they would like to be treated well. And working conditions have deteriorated in the last 20 years, and this whole, yeah, one feels used, one feels like a slave. It feels there is so much, particularly the last 5 years, of human rights, of animal rights, of any rights being just wiped away by this, yeah, okay, by the patriarchal paradigm moving out and becoming extra aggressive to have a last hooray, even though they know they can't have one. But it's just like, rather than becoming diplomatic and the wise woman or the wise man or the wise human, and maybe evolve as well, they seem to be pulled into the most base of duality and the lowest vibration there is, whatever the reason behind it. Maybe it's kind of like the volcano has to roar, spit it all out so it can leave Earth forever. And then, you know, the lava settles and the new continent is born, and then the volcano is just no longer there because it's come to an equilibrium and peace and rest and a solidified state. So what was the point I was sharing with you? I think my body is being overstretched a bit, wishing to share too many things at once because of not wishing to forget them. So the fourth one, I'm sure will come back to me, and I'll speak of. Um, Really, it was too many words. Yeah. On the other hand, the energy is a bit like that, and yeah, maybe the last thing is that okay, yeah, the inefficiency of this system and why my person has to be in those places again. And I have to say, I haven't been interacting with these agencies in this area before. It was in a different area. So that is to entertain the notion that some of us being acupuncture points, i.e. light carriers, sometimes we are placed into situations and places where the energy is the lowest, and there's reasons why we have to meet certain other human acupuncture points to exchange codes with, because also our being and the words we use may affect their one way of thinking. Yeah, and things are changing and things have to change, but uh, it's still not giving an answer, and I may not know for many years if I find out at all, being here on this planet, why um, certain things have to repeat itself, even though they're not repeating itself, because of course we have evolved. Um, do I need to get stronger? I don't think so. I'm tired of this, yeah, having to stand on the cliff when the ocean waves, you know, crashing in over you. Done that. Okay, so can't believe life is only about these having to face a storm. So, yeah, and that is the other thing. So today it feels, and this may be the Jupiter. Yeah, I think it's also to do with letting go of so much of the Virgo practicalities and um, trusting the flow of the river. Um, I think I shared it is all going to be my fifth house, which is really about creativity and also creating my own thing, which has not yet been possible. All the steps I have taken were just blocked, blocked, blocked. So, there are ideas, there are plans, but it is not naturally flowing yet. And I did send off a bunch of applications for positions, but this just feels like a repeat of an old way of being of 10 years ago. And There's even one company that I did have an interview with then, and they took the person directly from uni. And that had been the pattern 10 years ago. I don't know what it is now. I have no feeling about it. I let it all go. What has changed in the Aquarian energetics is that I am on my side entirely. And so if these interaction with these agencies in the last 3-4 months have shown one thing, that it has nothing to do with my person. And yes, I know there are these spiritual people that say life is not to be taken personally. Why are we individual then? Because it is our reaction to those challenges. I understand we can't take this out of context. The way it is seen is that we are not a victim of life, but we are co-creating. We are not creating entirely on our own, or basically wishing to create that what is in our inspirational, in our dreams, in our blueprint, seems to take an entire lifetime. Other people may be much more in tune with their mission or their purpose. If there is one. Um, okay, what I wanted to share is that definitely things are always changing, yet I can't really, whilst I can imagine that all the positions I applied for, I'm capable of doing and or I've done them in the past. It doesn't really feel it is what I'm meant to do with the rest of time that I remain on this planet, yet the other is only there as an idea, as it has been the last 3 decades, but this time it is like, yeah, how do I manifest it? How do I get it done? Because, well, the budget that is available is used for life's essential. And uh, yeah, buying food for the four-leggeds is more important than having a web page in the virtual world. And so these are the decisions that are being taken. We are fine. It is just we are not fine. Meaning I didn't expect, having lived through half a century, seeing how much my ancestors have worked, I could imagine a lot of things, but not that I would have to face the feeling of feeling poor in my lifetime. And that is relative, I understand, but I'm that type of person. I can imagine all the abundance of the world, and I would love to have that possibility of enabling others in sponsoring their dreams. So this is what I would do with abundance. I don't need um well, saying it, meaning if you are abundant, then there is a reason why you maybe have a big house, because you're inviting a lot of friends to stay. It is not about wanting to have a big house. It is about sharing abundance on all levels, because in a sustainable way. So that whole thing, I just can't fathom it. And yeah, I appreciate it has to do with Pluto going through its signs. But Pluto has moved. So we can't take 2008 till 2024 as a status of being, and it eroded a lot of family money. It's not just about me. In fact, other people were more hit because of their trust in certain institutions that didn't do their job right. But this seems to be obviously a paradigm too. And really, I would like to see that the banks of this world give back the money they have stolen through their wrong advice and their dabbling in areas where they shouldn't even be allowed to put funds into. Letting this go, because you're taking away from the grandchildren. Yeah. So it's basically eroded the possibility for the grandchildren to have free choice and to have the chance to live out their talent and be supported, rather than having to go through the same mill of budgeting, let's call it that way. Yeah, I'm sure everything has a purpose and a lesson, but it's not about the material. It is about the living, the inspiration that is coming in for the good of all. Yeah, because I'm a humanitarian, but being a humanitarian means caring about all life, all nature, all animals. And there were so many ideas and so many plans, just to share one with you, at the time being a mobile animal naturopath. I really wanted to set up a resource so that all those that couldn't pay for ongoing one-on-one treatment have resources. And so creating an organization that would offer information about how to support your pets through life with sharing information on remedies and treatments and nutrition, and also a way of making sure, should anything happen to you, that the pet would be cared for. It was this huge project that was within me, and well, the good thing is I lived it for a handful of years, and I tried it for a handful of years, and I have the experience from it. But the sad thing is, and there is another project that almost happened about, 25 years ago, which would have really been superb, which had also to do with caring for animals that had faced great life challenges, and just being there for them to be able to heal themselves and providing the surrounding. And I don't really want to go into that. It's very close to my heart, very emotional, and and so I cannot explain at this moment why these things did not happen. It was always external circumstances. And not having access to other sponsors or things, then being time sensitive, and others were given the land or the property or the project or whatever, despite all that meticulous planning and really listening to inner voice guidance and so on. So I'm sure all of you have had situations in life where you really did not understand why a very good project didn't work out. You can only see it in the light of the climate, the paradigm we lived in, which was unfair and one-sided, and didn't want to share abundance because of that power over structure, whatever. We don't need to mentally understand it. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my chat with you. The energy is waning, and it's all that it was meant to be shared today. And I hope it did record okay. And so, just on the last note, it is clear things are changing for the better, even if we cannot quite gather it yet. There are so many lovely people that are consciously making choices. All those that are not in the public eye all those that work intensely in themselves, and we know that the multidimensionality becomes more natural and we are moving into a more supportive river or waters, and that we will never have to come to this, when I say unfair, then I mean where other beings take it as natural to restrict or take away the life energy from others, which is really their energy, their individualism, and their talent, and not to be taken by anyone, particularly without asking. So that will not be possible in the future. Okay, I will mention a chat between Martha and Ari that I will link, because there is an overview of the current energetics seen from their experience with their clients, and you might find that supportive. As it confirmed, the energetic experiences. So, okay, let's just center, breathe. I am the light. I am the life. I am the love. I am the peace. Peace. Now, here, everywhere, for everyone. Sharing with you that, emitting, mirroring the wish that every being is giving all the life essentials so they can unfold their talents for the good of all and for the joy of their life. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Much love to this planet, this galaxy, all beings, all family in all dimensions, and also caring especially for our hearts, my heart, your heart. our heart. We have the wisdom within us. This is for harmony, freedom, sovereignty, joy. And so it is. Thank you. This is Blue for blueroom.org. Thank you.